Christianity requires us to treat all men equally from the heart. We aren't allowed to despise some people and then love others. We are to treat all people with genuine respect and honor. If somebody is your employer and today the culture is to hate your employer. The culture is to hate all businesses, and especially big businesses that make lots of money. They all treat their great corporations, and they treat their employees terribly, and they treat them just a step above slaves, and they don't pay them enough, and they line their pockets on the backs of the poor, and this socialistic mindset has creeped into all the education. And they teach the people to be envious of their rich corporate bosses. And so what do the people then do? They're not being taught this from a biblical perspective, but a socialist, godless perspective, and that is what socialism is, godlessness. They are taught to envy. They are taught to despise. They are taught to look down upon. They are taught that your employer is taking advantage of you and you are to disrespect him and only try to get ahead for yourself. That's not what Christianity teaches. Christianity teaches you that you go into your job and you think about how you can please the boss. And you give him due honor and respect. And when you begin to work, you do the work so that the company makes money. And if all the employees did that, they would be happy. They would be at peace with themselves. And you know what? The company would make money. And does that mean that all of the bosses would become nice? It may or may not. But I can guarantee you this, the Spirit of Christ would be there. And the bosses would be impressed. And I guarantee you that that company would make more money than any other company. And if you get your boss rich, don't despise him for it. Don't despise him that the Christian principles in your business got your boss rich. That's the proof that Christianity works. And let him have that on his conscience. And we're eyeing the conversion of our masters. And therefore, go into your work, go into your employment, and think along these lines, how can I make my boss more money? That's what business is about, making more money. But not just to take advantage of someone, but with Christian principles. How can I honor? How can I respect? How can I do as I'm told? How can I not despise my master because he has a bigger paycheck than me? How can I not despise him when he gets a $3,000 bonus at the end of the quarter because we all worked hard? That's what happens. That's what we are taught, to despise your boss because he took that money out of your mouths. That's not true. He has a contract with his employer to get his money, and you have an agreement with your employer to do your work for your hourly pay, and you do it. You work as hard as you can, and you do it. You do all you're supposed to do, and at the end of the day, if your boss is benefited, he's going to see that, and he's going to say, "What is it about these people that makes them so much more productive? It's their spirit. Well, why is their spirit so much better than others? It's Jesus Christ. He taught me this." We all exist in such a free country. This message was going out to those slaves who were stuck. They weren't going anywhere. There was no culture of freedom to release them from the bondage of slavery. They were stuck. Today we have many people who are not slaves, and they have no control over their base nature to rebel against any authority, including and not exclusive of their own bosses. They have the eye service, but they don't have the heart service. They go to work every week, and they put in their time, but they do not respect their bosses. How on earth can you, as a Christian, not respect your boss? He's not even your master. He doesn't own you. If you want to, you could walk out and get another job. Technically in America, we're not owned. Now you feel owned sometimes by your boss, but the point is, in America, we're free. And yet, how many people can't get themselves to this place where they genuinely honor their bosses? Heathen bosses who give them hard servitude, who put the yoke on them heavy, who benefit off the backs of the poor. Those very people who our culture tells you despise them. They're the big corporation. They are the big money makers. They are the deep pockets. They are the people who could care less about you. How could a Christian be able to read this and go into work and not honor their master? But how even much more, the question is even greater, how would they ever make it as a slave? if they can't even honor their own masters, who are just bosses, who don't own them, how would they ever make it as a slave when they are being given hard servitude by a heathen? They are told that's what they have right now, and they despise them. What if they really had it? What if they genuinely had to go in? What if you had to go in and you are a hard servitude slave with a heavy yoke upon you? You are not treated as a human being, but as a piece of cattle, and not an individual, separating wives and husbands, separating mothers from babies. I mean, not respected as a human being. If we can't even honor our bosses, how would we then be able to honor our masters if they give us hard slave servitude and the yoke is heavy? Shouldn't we then think now in all of our relationships, wives to husbands, husbands when you deal with people who are over you in authority, employees to employers, shouldn't we think now is the time for me to give not just eye service, but genuine honor to whom it's due? Genuine honor to where it's due. It's an encouragement to everyone to be submissive. A Christian doesn't need to demand his rights. A Christian doesn't need to demand respect. A Christian doesn't need to begrudge somebody because they don't give them their due and say, well, I don't deserve to be treated like this. A Christian needs to be able to say to somebody, whether you respect me or not, I will honor you. Whether you respect me in my lower position, in my subordinate place, whether you treat me right or whether you treat me wrong, you will see the honor coming from me because I'm giving this unto God. I am doing it as unto the Lord. How is it in America, where we don't even have slavery, that we can't even honor our bosses? We can't even honor those who are in authority over us. We can't honor, wives have a hard time honoring their husbands. Men have a hard time honoring their bosses. It's all around. It's everywhere. We're taught this from the very beginning. Don't you put me down. Don't you put me under your thumb. I'm a free individual. You can't force me to respect you because you are a bad person and you're taking advantage of me. And if anybody puts me under that submissive yoke, I fight against it. We're taught that from early school age. And it's in the culture. And it's in the movies. And it's in everywhere we see it. But the truth is, if you want to learn your Christianity, if you want to learn Christ, if you want to learn what God says in the Bible, then what you do is you say, I need to be Christ-like, submissive, give honor, and I need to humble myself. And that is the greatest victory that you'll ever have in your life. If you can conquer that, if God in you, with His grace, can give you the victory over yourself, you will have the greatest victory life offers.